Here are the key details. My wife Wendy and I met through friends 7 years ago. Dated for 2 years and have been married for 5 years. I worked my tail off as an associate at my firm, putting in 60 hours a week for the first 2 years of our marriage. That effort paid off and I'm doing well professionally. Wendy was a teacher at a private school, but as soon as we got married, she quit so she could go back to school for her master's in education and is currently in an educational doctoral program while working part-time. This was a bit of financial strain, since I wanted to pay off my student loans as quickly as possible, but we managed. My wife had an old laptop that she was using when we started dating. I found it in a box in a closet. She said it crashed and wouldn't work any longer. I plugged it in, tried to turn it on. Nothing. When we met, Wendy took pictures of everything, primarily selfies of her with others, knowing that she must have had some pictures of us from that time. I yanked the hard drive and looked at it. It seemed okay. The problem must have been somewhere else, wanting to surprise her with pictures of when we first started dating. I waited until she left to go visit her sister before I plugged it into a SATA cable connector to my PC. There were pictures there, plenty of pictures. Some were of us on dates, laughing, smiling. They brought back some good memories, but there were also others of her with different people. One person in particular I remembered. His name was Bob and Wendy had dated him before me. There were lots of pictures of her and Bob. I wanted to grab only our pictures, so I thought the easiest way would be to organize them by date, figuring the latest pictures would be of only us. But when I clicked them by date, a lot of her pictures with Bob were jumbled up with pictures of us. I began to open the pictures one by one and noticed that in a few of her pictures with Bob, where they were cuddling and kissing, she was wearing a necklace, locket that I had given her as a birthday present in the second year we were dating. I had to borrow the money from my brother to buy it. I looked at the dates on the pictures and a pattern emerged. On the days and weekends when school required my undivided attention, the times when she went to her mother's house or her sister's house to give me peace and quiet, she was meeting up with Bob behind my back. I was furious. It felt like fire ants were chewing on my brain, my heart, and my guts. I wanted to punch through the walls, but then something snapped and I went numb. I began to see and think in very cold, analytical terms. I copied all of her pics, all of them, not just those I'd seen, to a flash drive. I packed a bag, grabbed some suits, took the thumb drive and went to stay with my brother across town. I left her laptop hard drive plugged into my PC with a picture of her kissing Bob on the monitor. The only note I left behind was a sticky note with an arrow on it pointing to the necklace. Locket. Wendy tried to call me from her mother's house, but I didn't answer. It wasn't until a few hours later, after she presumably got back to our apartment and saw the picture on the monitor, that she blew up my phone with VMs and texts. I ignored them all. I've already met with another associate who works in the family law department about separation and divorce. We have no children or real property, since a lot of our money went to paying off my loans and for her tuition. My firm circled the wagons around me so her calls go to VM. She's not allowed onto the property. Wendy tracked me down at my brother's house, but he made it clear to her on the phone that if she tries to come over, he'll set his Dobermans on her. He told me she was screaming, sobbing, and begging on the phone. It didn't make me sad or happy or anything. I felt nothing. My marriage is over. I've accepted that. But it's been 2 days and I still feel nothing. No pain, no anger, nothing. How is it possible that I have no more feelings for her? No desire to ever see her again. No desire to reconcile. Now that I'm alone with my thoughts, feeling this nothing for her scares me. Is this going to last? Am I still in shock? Am I permanently broken? The upside is that I've never seen clearer solutions in my cases. Story 2. My best friend planned against me to get laid with my woman. So recently I discovered my girlfriend of 4s was sleeping with my best friend of 22ers. My best friend's wife passed away from a brain tumor 2 years ago. Me and my girlfriend, who lived together in a house owned by my parents along with her 5-year-old son, had been going through a rough patch in our relationship, but we're still together every day and trying to stay in love. My girlfriend has insecurities from her previous relationship, thinking all men cheat. I love her dearly from the bottom of my heart. I feel like she is the one true love I always desired and felt complete with her. She honestly is the most beautiful woman that I've ever had in my life. She seems more and more beautiful each day. Issues with her instant lottery ticket obsession started becoming a big problem for us every day. Although she contributes to our living and has her own money, it really started driving me crazy that the lottery tickets were controlling her life. And when I expressed to her how I felt about it, she just ignored it, said she is using her own money. Well, the obsession drove a serious wedge between us to the point where I said, if you can't change this, I'm going to be living by myself soon. I said that, but honestly never meant it. No way I could part ways with the girl of my dreams. Well, my best friend lives a mile down the road from us and owns a sprint car that his 20-year-old son races with at the local racetrack. My friend does most of the car work himself, and because I like sprint car racing, I help him work on it once or twice a week, sometimes 3. I feel bad because my friend doesn't seem the same since losing his wife. They were like brother and sister to me, so I try to be there for him as much as possible. With my girlfriend's issues of thinking all men cheat, she gave me hard times about working with him on the car, even questioned if that was what I really was doing or was I possibly cheating. No way would I ever look towards another woman ever. It came to the point where if I left to help him with the car, it would be a bad argument every time, accusing me of not being there and cheating. Things really got to the point that we were barely speaking and our love life was crumbling. I was more stressed than enjoying our life together and could almost see us parting ways. I loved her even though our life together became toxic. Neither of us could let go. I sometimes seriously wanted to, but after one look at her beautiful face, I knew no way I could ever get over her. Her hours picked up at her job, and she had been working a few 12-hour shifts per week, and our job hours offset each other, so I took care of her son while she was working. I started to notice her always on her phone in a different room in the house, and her phone was always on silent. I knew her password, but she didn't have a clue I knew it, so when she was sleeping after a 12-hour shift, I wanted to see what was going on in her phone, and there it was, hundreds of emails between her and my best friend, and even sexting, naked videos, pics, and then I seen where she had been to his house and they had sex once. I threw up all over the bathroom floor, barely breathing, crying my eyes out that 2 people I had trusted more than anyone had both betrayed me. The most sickened and weakest time of my life. I just wanted to die right there. I could not believe that this was my reality. My mind was in shock. I was lost and heartbroken. I laid on the couch wide awake all night. She asked me in the morning why I didn't come to bed, and I just looked at her. Part of me didn't even want to say anything to her because I seriously didn't want it to be my reality. After her son went outside to ride his bike, I approached her and asked her was she cheating. She looked at me with eyes filled with tears and told me she slept with my best friend. I looked at her crying myself and asked her why, how could you, and she said things were so horrible in our life. And my best friend told her a lie that I was cheating. He would email her asking where I was, that we were supposed to work on the car, and I never showed up the last 2 weeks. Him, knowing about her insecurities, played it and took advantage of her. She believed him because I was his best friend, and he said as much as he misses his wife, he couldn't stand by and let her get hurt. I did notice her making comments that I probably didn't want sex with her are certain times because I was already satisfied. Now I know why she said those things. She said she never told me about him emailing her because she wanted to hear his stories about my so-called cheating. A friend I trusted and been there for him during hard times, helped out financially, had destroyed my whole world just like that. She apologized for hurting me and begged for me to not end our relationship. I was in shock. I couldn't believe she'd embarrass me and do the lowest thing you could do to a person. She said she felt our relationship was over and she felt disconnected for the past year, and said she hated me for saying she would have to leave if she couldn't get past her lottery issues. She said she never stopped loving me and to forgive her and to let her stay. When I figured out the day that they had sex, she worked 8 HRS as I was thinking she was working 12 HRS and still at work, but was with him. It disgusted me. That date I looked at our phone texts and we texted back and forth the whole day just as we normally do. The day before she had sex with him, we were home and she was making spaghetti. And as she was cooking, I stood behind her taking a video selfie, kissing her cheek, saying I love you and thank you for making dinner. After she came home that day and went to bed like she just came from work, I went bike riding with her son on the bike trail so she could have some quiet sleep. And when we came home, I checked on her and she was asleep, and I took pic of her sleeping and titled it Sleeping Beauty. That is how much I adored this woman. Later on that same day, I had even got a call from my best friend and went to his house to help work on the car, not knowing my girlfriend was there having sex earlier that day. After putting all the dates and timelines together, it hurt 10x worse. I had even read emails where they both laughed and talked about my flaws, saying mean things about me. I figured the whole affair went on for about a month from his first email to her. I had made an appointment to see the doctor, and he said I was suffering from severe depression after being tested. He put me on antidepressants. I just couldn't believe this had happened to my life, the worst living nightmare ever. I didn't say anything to my friend and waited for him to call me, and when he did, I played as if I didn't know anything. And I said I'd be right over. So when I got there, him and his brother had already got started working on the car. I noticed his brother had a blank look on his face, as if he knew something was wrong or he wanted to say something to me. The brother left, so I figured it was time to confront my so-called friend. I waited 5 minutes, then I asked him what the hell was he emailing my girlfriend for and having sex with her, and not knowing she had confessed. He stood there lying to my face that he didn't have a clue of what I was talking about. After that, I kicked him in the stomach and punched him in the eye and nose and stared him down, and I left. I haven't seen him since, nor do I ever want to. I did hear from his brother, who said his brother was wrong and no way he should have done that to me, as much as I've been there for him. His brother mentioned that he seen the naked pics and videos because my ex-best friend hand sent them out to all the fellas in a group text 2 days before I found out about the affair. I went home and couldn't even look at her. I was so sick. Then I told her that her nude pictures and videos were all over my circle of so-called friends. She started bawling her eyes out. I said, this happened because you never told me he emailed you in the beginning. Yes, I'm the fool, and I let her stay knowing I look like a fool. And embarrassed by her slut behavior and naked videos all over, I can barely function regularly, can barely sleep. I find myself raging. I don't feel like doing anything but isolating myself after work. Yes, we talk and I try to proceed with her, but nothing feels the same. Every time I look at her, I can't believe she went that low. It hurt badly. She always accused me of something I never was doing, and now she's done this to me. I can't believe I'm on meds because of her, and some days I'd rather not exist. I want to love her some days, but it doesn't feel the same. I want our life back to normal, but it's not happening. Sometimes I feel we should part ways, but like a fool, I can't see myself without her. If anyone has any advice or been in a similar situation, please help. I'm so lost, I'm losing my mind.